All right. So, on the eve of a Trans Day of Remembrance, which would be today, yesterday, a gunman walked into a Colorado Springs gay nightclub and opened fire on some people. So, let's check in and see what all information we can find so far. All right. Police continue to investigate after a gunman killed 5 people and injured 18 others at an LGBTQ nightclub at Saturday. I'm sorry, it was Saturday, my bad. Saturday in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Also, I believe that injury number has actually gone up since the initial count. 17 people were injured by gunshots, while another victim sustained other injuries, police said Monday afternoon. At least one other person and likely many others were victims with no visible injuries, police said. Police earlier said 25 people were injured. Oh, that's the number I heard. Okay. Police on Monday released the names of those killed: Daniel Aston, Kelly Loving, Raymond Green Vance, Derek Rump, funny name, and Ashley Green Paw. 3 victims are in stable condition at Penrose Hospital in Colorado Springs, its CEO said on Monday. Officials have identified Anderson Lee Aldrich, 22, as the suspect. He was taken into custody shortly after arriving on site at Club Q and is being treated at a local hospital as of Monday afternoon. Court records for the case have now been sealed. Colorado Springs District Attorney Michael Allen said on Monday afternoon that no formal charges have been filed. He said the investigation is still active and charges will be filed in due time. The attack comes 6 years after the deadliest attack on the LGBTQ community in modern U.S. history, when a gunman killed 49 people and wounded 53 others at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. So, to start out, let's kind of get a bit of an understanding here in that these are not isolated events as much as they might seem. If you don't think that this gunman was not walking into this nightclub with the full intention of one-upping the Pulse nightclub shooter, I'm willing to bet I'm willing to bet quite a bit of money that you'd be wrong about that. So, you know, a lot of this stuff in our current political environment, a lot of the rhetoric that we're going to take a look at later is kind of why stuff like this happens. Because quite frankly, there are LGBTQ nightclubs all over the world, and we don't really hear about all of these targeted mass shootings at them on a consistent basis. This is something that in the U.S. is becoming, at the very least, what's the word? Hateful rhetoric kind of drives hateful action towards these sorts of groups. Oh, hey, it's CFC. Where's I want to say I don't think you could go ahead. Did you eat for $50? Probably not many. I'm a pussy when it comes to spicy food. All right, but anyway, yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about this sometimes because, I hate kind of thinking about this as like a statistic, but at the end of the day, I believe he's been charged so far with a hate crime, which tells you at the very least that the police have at least in this case, a non-zero belief that this was a politically motivated attack on a group. So let's keep reading, but I want everybody to kind of keep that in mind in terms of kind of where we're at right now. Let's see. Colorado. Hey there. I can't read that. There we go. Colorado Springs Police Chief Adrian Vasquez said the gunman began shooting as soon as he entered the nightclub. According to authorities, 2 patrons, Richard Fierro and Thomas James helped subdue the gunman, with the chief, which the chief described as heroic. We owe them a great debt of thanks, he said at a news conference. Yeah, they did the police's job for them. Colorado Springs Mayor John Suthers told NPR that one of the patrons, quote, took the handgun from the shooter and hit him with the handgun to disable him. Smart move. Club Q wrote on Facebook that patrons, quote, quick reactions helped end the attack, which it called a hate attack. It seems like it most likely was, and prevented more people from being killed or injured. So yeah, this is a case of which I remember when I initially heard that patrons kind of subdued him and like were able to kind of stop his what I can only assume desire to kill more people. I had initially thought like, well, they're in Colorado Springs, which is an incredibly conservative area here in Colorado. I kind of figured there'd be some law-abiding, gun-owning citizens at this club. But, big ups to these guys for not being armed and taking action quickly and stopping this. Not to say that anybody should really have to be worried about, like, disarming somebody when they're trying to have fun at a nightclub. But, the actions of those two people are beyond heroic. I mean, how many lives were saved because of their quick reaction. So big ups to them. Police said the first call came in at 11:57 p.m. local time, after which the first officer arrived 3 minutes later. The suspect was taken into custody at 12:02 a.m. Mountain Time. Vasquez said the shooter carried an AR-style platform long gun along with multiple magazines with ammunition. That speaks to the appreciation that he took before entering that club. Which, yeah, I mean, look, the guy didn't roll in with like a Glock 19 and maybe like 2 magazines. Lugging around an AR-15, I'm assuming, if they're describing it as a long gun, I'm gonna make the assumption that's accurate. But walking around with that much ammo and everything else kind of gives you the hint that this probably wasn't this wasn't meant to be a quick any kind of quick affair. It seems like this person definitely wanted to do a lot more harm than they were able to, which is always good. CFC, you're doing a lot of talking. Let's see. I do like chicken. I mean, I do like chicken wings. I'm just a pussy. I'll admit to that. Why are we talking? Why are you so CFC? Are you like hungry? Like, you are hungry, my friend. Go eat. Did you eat dinner? If you didn't eat dinner, go eat dinner. All right. Club Q. Let's see. Club Q, which opened in 2002. Wow, it's serves the Colorado Springs area with drag shows, karaoke, and dance parties for those 18 years and older. Okay, so it's kind of like an underage to... Okay. I think they have a lot of these by college campuses usually. Both Vasquez and the Colorado government... The good word of chicken. I have heard the good word. Have you heard the good word of Korean fried chicken? The greatest of all the kinds of chicken you can have. Let's see. Club safe... let's see. Both Vasquez and Colorado Governor Jared Polis called the club a, quote, safe haven for LGBTQ residents of Colorado Springs. Club Q has been a safe haven for the LGBT community in an area where it hasn't always been easy. Polis, who became the first openly gay governor in the U.S. in 2018, said at a church service Sunday, "It's a place where we can gather, dance, and share the joy." Colorado Springs Police Lieutenant Pamela Castro said the department was shocked at the attacks at the nightclub had not been a problem spot for the city. Club Q announced it would be closed until further notice. I'm sure that these sorts of attacks, I feel like a lot of times for like regular police departments, come off as these crazy once in a lifetime events. And I can kind of understand that. If you're a, if you're a, local PD office, you're probably not keeping a watchful eye on kind of some of the like national trends going around, with Colorado Springs being where it is and having the makeup that it does in terms of its quite frankly how conservative it is. uh I can't say that anybody should be super duper shocked that something like this happened in that area, unfortunately. It's just kind of an area in Colorado that's really steeped in a lot of conservative media and conservative, um, framing of the world, really. And again, we're gonna look at some of that, but like I find it to be a bit of malpractice to say that you'd be shocked that something like this would happen. Not only that, but it's not like the club is a problem spot. It's people in your community that can't let people live their lives. Apparently, I wouldn't call. Anyway, the shooting came on the eve. Yeah, transgender Day of Remembrance. The gunman targeted the club the night before transgender. Transgender. God, I don't know why I've been having trouble saying that word today. Transgender. I think it's the transgender, and then immediately into day. That's what's fucking me up. Day of Remembrance, which occurs annually on November 20th to honor victims of anti-trans violence. The Day of Remembrance had its start back in 1999 when LGBTQ rights advocate Gwendolyn Ann Smith helped organize a vigil for transgender woman Rita Hester and Chanel Pickett of Massachusetts. Both were women of color. Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to be any kind of expert on LGBTQ history, but stuff like this, I think there is a very strong argument that we need to start including LGBT history along with probably a few other communities' history into kind of our educational programs in terms of like history classes, and probably maybe some like English classes for like writing purposes and stuff, in terms of literature. Because I think I do think that the more people are exposed to other communities, exposed to people that are different from them, the much more not just accepted but understanding of those people's life experiences and those people's what's the word, position in society. I think it's beneficial for our society in the U.S. I think it would be beneficial to start teaching more of this stuff. I didn't know as a steadfast, boring cis straight white guy. Actually, that's a lie. I'm brown, but I know I really look really pale with the light though when I look at myself. But yeah, like as somebody who's like straight, this isn't history that I'm super aware of, and that's not really great. I think that we need to do a better job at educating our society about these communities. Then we hopefully wouldn't have problems like this. Among those who were fatally shot on Saturday was Daniel Aston, 28, a transgender man who bartended and frequently performed at Club Q. Aston loved 1980s music and hats. Is that all we got, guys? 80s music and then hats. Maybe they're a collector. Who knows? His mother told Colorado Public Radio, "Mom, you can go a little bit farther than hats, ma'am. Come on now." She admitted that in the past she was often worried of her son being targeted for being transgender. I mean, ask people in the black community, and you'll hear kind of the same stories about having to teach their kids how to behave around cops and how to kind of behave in certain neighborhoods. Although the investigation is in its early stages, Vasquez said it's not lost on him that the shooting took place in an LGBTQ nightclub and on the eve of Transgender Day of Remembrance. He added that those details will be taken seriously. I think there's a lot of work to be done before we can come to that determination, he said, on whether the shooting was a quote was a hate crime, but certainly it feels that way. As far as I've heard, they decided to charge him with a hate crime. So Biden and lawmakers respond. Yeah, Senator Michael Bennet, from Democrat from Colorado, expressed his devastation upon hearing news of the shooting in his state and called for more protection and support for the LGBT community. As we seek justice, Michael, I'm not a big fan of Michael Bennet, admittedly. President Biden said in a statement, there is no place for violence, hatred, and bigotry in America. Yet tragically, as last night's attack in Colorado Springs reminds us, too many LGBTQI plus, why didn't you say A, man? People in the United States and around the world continue to face I can't talk to that, guys. I'm sorry. Unconscionable attacks. Biden called for Congress to pass the Equality Act, which would ban discrimination against people based on sexual orientation and gender identity. The bill stalled in the Senate after passing the House in February of 2021. How that didn't pass, I have no fucking clue. If it passed in February of 2021, I don't really see a reason why you would. Well, I guess they need 60 votes, so guess they don't have that yet. Well, although they have it for the marriage, though, we just learned recently. So, what's their clarification? Early version of the story had the headline report the suspect would definitely be charged with murder and hate crimes. Prosecutors say formal charges have not been filed. Okay, I've been lied to. There's the correction. All right, I've been corrected. In June, Biden signed the first major gun safety law passed by Congress in nearly 30 years, a month after the mass shooting at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, that killed 19 children and 2 adults. The legislation expanded background checks on people between the ages of 18 and 21 seeking to buy a gun and expanded an existing law that prevents people convicted of domestic abuse from owning a gun. Yeah, I remember going over the gun law. It's not enough. It's fine. We could be doing more, I think. Let's see. A year and a half before he was arrested, the Colorado Springs gay nightclub shooting that left 5 people dead, Anderson Lee Aldrich allegedly threatened his mother with a homemade bomb, forcing neighbors and surrounding homes to evacuate while the bomb squad and crisis negotiators talked him into surrendering. So, a year before, this guy walks into a club and kills 5 people with the intent to most likely kill as many people as he could in that nightclub. This guy's making homemade bombs. Now, I'm not sure what the absolute specifics are in terms of Colorado's red flag laws, but I would say that a red flag law that doesn't filter out somebody who's been who was involved in a bomb threat that then a neighborhood had to evacuate and a bomb squad had to be called. That's a bit that kind of tells me that our red flag laws could be just a bit stronger. Let's see. No public. Okay, let's see. Yet, despite that scare, charges were dropped. Which charges? The by the judge. Oh. Wait, by the I'll keep reading. I'm gonna assume that it's in here, but we'll send me a link if you found that. Let's see. Yet, despite the scare, there's no public record that prosecutors move forward with felony kidnapping and menacing charges against Aldrich, or that police or relatives tried to trigger Colorado's red flag law that would allow. Okay, so here's the problem. So it seems like after, at the very least, manufacturing a homemade bomb, having bomb squad come in to assess that, having neighbors evacuate their homes and probably the immediate area a little bit, police, it appears, seemed not very interested to actually trigger any red flag on this guy. Basically not flagging him in the system when he went to buy whatever firearm that he ended up using at this club. So, I mean, let's be clear. Whoever made that decision, if that was a if that was the police chief or like whoever was making that decision, clearly they need to be held to account for that, because they're clearly not using the tools that they are given to actually be able to find and like monitor these people's activity the proper way. Clearly there is, for some reason, they didn't think that was super alarming. Yeah, yep. And it would have allowed them to seize all of this ammo and weapons and everything else. So that's not great. That's super not great. Gun control advocates say Aldrich's June 2021 threat is an example of red flag law ignored, with potentially deadly consequences. I would argue that absolutely is the outcome. Is that they just weren't interested in following up, and now 5 people are dead. What is it, 18 injured or something? So this is on the police now, which also, when we talk about red flag laws, which is something I've always been an advocate for, because I do think that at the very least in concept, red flag laws are a pretty good compromise of like, hey, we need these certain filtering tools to make sure that these types of people don't get firearms without tripping on Americans' Second Amendment rights. Unfortunately, that's something we kind of have to live with. It's there. It's not coming out of the Constitution. But this I will say is a damning example of, I think, the what's the word, the shortcomings of red flag laws. Because when you have a police force that is in, as Huffle Shoes so quaintly puts it, when you have police who live in conservative Springs, what do you think their politics are? Like, do you think that they're going to be interested in flagging just some kid who looks like their kid who has guns? Like, most likely they saw that happen and they said, by the grace of God, there goes my child. So this is a problem that the Colorado Springs Police Department's going to have to answer for. And this is also a massive hit to, I think, the concept of red flag laws being a compromise. I think for Democrats, this kind of shows the shortcomings and where, if you have police forces that aren't gonna be interested in flagging these kinds of guys, the question will become, who are they going to then flag? Who's going to trigger those red flag laws if not this guy? Will that be based on objective threat? On an objective reading of somebody's threat to society? Or is that going to be based on whoever's perception of what they think is dangerous to the community, and what community that they're thinking when they think serve and protect? So, that's, I just, anyway. Well, it's not clear the law could have prevented Saturday night's attack. Such gun seizures can be in effect for as little as 14 days and be extended by a judge in 6-month increments. They say it could have at least slowed Aldrich and raised his profile with law enforcement, which they're not wrong. Again, the more I read this, the more I'm becoming a little more skeptical of red flag laws now, because a judge comes in. I think we all remember the what was he? He wasn't a Harvard student. He was like a oh God, what was his name? Not exactly be a Brock Turner. Yes, thank you, Huffle Shoes. Yeah, Brock Turner, this motherfucker. Give me Turner now. No. Like, the question always becomes, oh, you most likely, I would assume, have to go through somebody to make the, like, basically give the green light to say, like, yes, they're now tagged with that red flag law. When they go to do their background check, it's going to come up. Gun dealer's going to be like, oh, maybe we shouldn't sell this to this person, or maybe there's a restriction on their ability to buy firearms. Is there going to be somebody at the top who says, guys like Brock Turner, I'm sure he's be fine. Guys like this guy Aldrich, he's just a kid with some wacky ideas. So I mean, there's limitations to what red flag laws can actually get us, clearly. And I'm perfectly open with saying, like, I was just wrong about those. I had a lot more faith in them. I'm now way more skeptical of red flag laws being, while I think they're good and there's something that I think we should have, there's clearly more. There's more that needs to be done. But anyway, let's continue this article here. Let's zoom in a bit. My fucking eyes. I'm getting old, guys. All right, we need heroes beforehand. Parents, coworkers, friends who are seeing someone go down this path. Colorado State Representative Tom Sullivan, whose son was killed in the Aurora theater shooting, and sponsored the state's red flag law passed in 2019. This should have alerted them, put him on their radar. And he's right. This absolutely should have. This should have at the very least revealed him to the cops. I mean, we have the FBI. We have these sorts of, organizations to keep an eye on people's online activity for a damn reason. I can't say like the word, I can't say the word like, I don't know, give me the fucking like frying pan, like at all near my phone without seeing like a million frying pan ads right like as I'm scrolling down Instagram. So don't tell me you can't keep an eye on these people when they're absolutely Googling and constantly looking up like guns, firearms, how to do this, how to do that. Like it's always nuts to me that like we all aren't already spied on. But the law that allows guns to be removed from people deemed dangerous to themselves or others has seldom been used in the state. Should probably be used more often, let's be honest. Particularly in El Paso County, home of Colorado Springs, where the 22-year-old Aldrich allegedly went into long gun at just before midnight and opened fire. Yeah. An Associated Press analysis found Colorado has one of the lowest rates of red flag usage, despite widespread gun ownership and several high-profile mass shootings. That's disappointing, to say the least. Can I see that really quick? That's how I feel. Red flag law. Can you move? I'm trying to read the fucking thing. Stupid header. What did that say? Red flag laws get little use as shootings, gun, deaths, soar. Chicago's one of Control F. Color. There we go. In Colorado, 37 counties that consider themselves sanctuaries issued 25 surrender orders. Issued just 45 surrender orders in the 2 years through the last year. A fifth fewer than non-sanctuary counties did per resident. New Mexico and Nevada reported only about 20 orders combined. Jesus. As it considers. What else we got? In Colorado in 2020, police seized 59 guns from a man who complained of hitmen coming to get him, bragged about shooting someone, and repeatedly threatened his ex-wife. That guy's a psychopath. That person is a certified psychopath. 59 guns. That's like one guy. So I also want everyone to understand, if there are any we also need to remember that guy has like 59 guns. If you're in Colorado Springs, I can almost guarantee you there's like one person for every like 6 guns there. Most guns in this country. So you've probably heard the statistic that like there are more guns in America than there are people. And that's mainly because most gun owners own like a fucking safe with like 80 bajillion different variations of the same 1911. and constantly worry about somebody coming into their house, and like, I don't know, like bothering them, I guess. I don't know. The as far as I know, home invasions in Colorado is not incredibly common, but you know, this is the stuff that unfortunately people get taught, and kind of the agitprop that they're fed, that puts them on edge, and then they buy a fucking arsenal of weapons for basically no reason. I mean, their reasoning is like to defend themselves, but you're like, oh, what do you do for a job? Do you have a dangerous job? And they're like, oh no, I'm like, I'm like an electrician. I don't, like, I go and install like electrical lighting into people's houses. But you never know, man. Somebody might be coming after me. You know, I'm a real important guy. Like, it's fucking nuts. Let's see. Courts issued 151 gun surrender orders from when the law took effect in April 2019 through 2021. God, that's like nothing. Three surrender orders for every 100,000 adults in the state. That's a third of the ratio of orders issued for the 19 states and District of Columbia with surrender laws on their books. Excuse me. El Paso County appears especially hostile to the law. It joined nearly 2,000 counties nationwide in declaring themselves Second Amendment sanctuaries that protect the constitutional rights of bear arms, passing a 2019 resolution that says the red flag law, quote, infringes upon the unalienable rights of law-abiding citizens by ordering police to forcibly enter premises and seize a citizen's property with no evidence of a crime. Fucking deal with it. Yeah, I mean, this is why. I mean, I'm not sure if these two things are related, but you know, if you have a judge or you have whoever needs to sign off on basically marking somebody with like a red flag on their like social security number or whatever to buy firearms, and they live, you know, if they're living in somewhere that believes that red flag laws infringe upon the inalienable rights of law-abiding citizens forcibly entering their premises and seizing a citizen's property with no evidence of a crime, you might say, red flag law, we don't do those here. And this is the consequence. This is the consequence of letting these sorts of extremists run cities, run counties, and continue unabated to allow minorities in their communities to be targeted like this. Attitudes like this, where it's you can't take anybody's firearms away because they haven't committed a crime yet they've shown. Because also understand, we all kind of understand that when you get pulled over, an officer can just tell you that what's the word I want, or the phrase, the term, it's what is it, you know, it's like, you know, if they're suspicious of you or they think probable cause. You know, we've all heard of probable cause when police pull you over and then suddenly smell weed, and then you're outside of your car standing with your hands behind your head while they search through your vehicle and go through your stuff and invade your personal space, even though you haven't committed a crime. You're just driving along. We all understand that, but notice that's not, these people aren't concerned with that sort of thing. They're only interested in this kind of overreach when it comes to their like precious guns. That's the only time they're interested in the unwarranted search and seizure. The only difference is, here's the big difference. When somebody drives down the street with a broken taillight and an officer pulls them over and proceeds to investigate their vehicle for drugs they might think could possibly, maybe, hypothetically exist nearby, there's almost like no evidence to any of that. It's all just feels from the cops and sometimes quotas. The difference is this person built a bomb, or at the very least built something approximating a bomb, because they're probably a dumbass and did it poorly, And a year later, because they didn't think that was a problem, and that wasn't enough to put a hold on basically their ability to buy firearms, which, by the way, is not the same thing as taking away your Second Amendment right. Now people are dead. There's no need. We solved gun violence in this country. We understood long ago that a polite society, an armed society, is not a polite society. We understood that. But these people, unfortunately, want to keep debating this because they're scared, because they're hateful, because they're isolated from the rest of the world. Anyway, I know I went on a tangent. It's just, this shit. There are 5 people who could have been alive if these laws were used properly. But because somebody decided, I don't like them, I have the power to decide who gets red flags on their account, who gets flagged in the system. I'm just not going to bother. County Sheriff Bill Elder. Okay. Also, I just want to say, look, the idea of being a sheriff is cool. The idea of being a police chief, not as cool. Can we this is unrelated really quickly, but I think we need to get rid of sheriffs, then police. No. Just do one. Let's just have one person. So I have to hear about the county sheriff said this, and then the city chief said this, and then the mayor. No, just give me one of them. Just give me sheriffs in town. All right. That's the only thing I want. I'm sick and tired of hearing both of them. My mic. There we go. That good? Okay. Let's see. Has said his office would wait for family members to ask a court for surrender orders and not petition for them on its own accord unless there were, quote, exigent circumstances and probable cause of a crime. So it's not enough. It's not enough to build a bomb in your home and threaten your family members with it. According to this guy, he's going to leave that decision up to family members, which is really funny to me because it's not, as far as I can tell, we do not leave the determination of how we label our laws based on the family members or the victims of laws, bro, of crimes. If somebody gets kidnapped, you don't ask, nobody's sitting there going hey, is there would you like us to press charges? I don't, for your kidnapping. I don't know. You tell me if you're not feeling it. No. Somebody gets kidnapped, you're already moving in that direction. At best, you're getting confirmation that you're going to have your key witness, aka the person being kidnapped. But no, you don't delegate that to regular people. The fuck are you even in your position for at that point? You might as well just go and ask every family member, hey, that guy stole from the 7-Eleven. Do you want us to look into that? Or you're just kind of what is this? There's this deference to the law all of a sudden. El Paso County, with a population of 730,000 people, had 13 temporary firearm removals through the end of last year, 4 of which turned into longer ones of at least 6 months. The county sheriff's office declined to answer what happened after Aldridge's arrest last year, including whether anyone asked to have his weapons removed. The press release issued by the sheriff's office at the time said no explosives were found, but did not mention anything about whether any weapons were recovered. Spokesperson Deborah Christobuff referred further questions about the case to the district attorney's office, to which they didn't answer anything probably. online court record search did not turn up any formal charges filed against Aldrich, which we already heard about. The Gazette newspaper of Colorado Springs reported that prosecutors did not pursue any charges in the case and the records were sealed. Now, I would love to know. First of all, why are records sealed? I mean, I understand that, you know, records need to be sealed for certain things. I'm certainly not against it as a, like, broad stance, but I'd love to know what the, like, how the fuck were they sealed to be, like, for this case? It seems like a pretty open and shut case of somebody makeshifting either a bad bomb or a fake, you know, it was never intended to actually be a bomb. But either way, you would think that, I don't think that's really worth sealing. I don't know why you'd need to seal that kind of information. Or why the public can't be privy to that information. The Gazette also reported Sunday that it got a call from Aldrich in August asking that it remove a story about the incident. So yeah, this guy wanted, you know, his entire, you know, bomb episode to be scrubbed from the internet, from, you know, from as many sources as he could. And luckily, the DA's department seemed to oblige, which really, really, really makes me wonder. There's absolutely nothing there. The case was dropped, and I'm asking you either remove or update the story. Aldrich said in a voice message to an editor. The entire case was dismissed. A spokesperson for the district attorney's office declined to comment on whether the charges were pursued. He said the shooting investigation will also include a study of the bomb threat. Jeez, guys, don't twist our arm here. There will be no additional information released at this time. These are still investigative questions. AP study of 19 states and District of Columbia red flag laws on their books found they have been used about 15,000 times since 2020. Lovely. 19 states and DC. How many people do you think are living in those states and in DC? And 15,000 weapons. That's it. That's, yeah, less than 10, for every adults, for every 100,000. Experts call that woefully low and hardly enough to make a dent in gun killings. Yeah. Just this year, authorities in Highland Park, Illinois were criticized for not trying to take guns away from the 21-year-old accused of a 4th of July parade shooting that left 7 dead. Police had been alerted about him in 2019 after he threatened to, quote, kill everyone in his home. Duke University, sociologist, expert red flag laws, yet another miss, This seems like a no, So, you know, I guess this segment is going to be specifically about red flag laws, but let's kind of summarize like really quickly for a second. And red flag laws, clearly, so red flag laws have been implemented in a number of states, and in those states we have seen at least one, if not multiple, examples of police unwilling to flag citizens for violent actions. What we need going forward is at least, you know, as just a regular person, you know, I'm not a legislator, I'm not a congressperson, I'm not any of these things. Clearly, red flag laws and the decision to flag individuals needs to be, at the very least, reviewed by some kind of third party, or needs to be looked into in terms of their implementation by police forces. Because clearly police forces are not interested in implementing the red flag laws that its citizens voted for representatives in their state houses and then voted them into law. Citizens voted for people who represented them and said they want people to be flagged when they commit dangerous acts and when they reveal themselves to be irresponsible stewards of firearms. But it seems like we have a bit of a problem, and we don't know how. It seems like this is pretty widespread, but it seems like we have quite a problem with police being interested in implementing them on the citizens' behalf. So, not good. Not good at all. And you know the thing, the thing that they tell, like at the end of all YouTube videos where they tell you to like click on one of these like things to watch more videos. Yeah, I've been meaning to film one of those. So that's what I was doing. I was just setting it up to